John Cardello, still from CPAC 2018. Joining me now is one of my favorite young rebels, my buddy Rob Shimshock. Rob, how are you, man?
Hi, John. Thank you very much for having me.
It's been too long. Now, look, I don't want to bring us down, but we had a terrible tragedy last week in Parkland, Florida, about 30 minutes from where I live. I live in Broward County, Florida. I'm sure you've been following it. Every American has.
Mm-hmm.
You're still of student age. Now, we're being told that students are, you were
approximately, yes.
You were much
Let's go
closer to
student age,
age than I am.
All right,
so
all
you
right.
can still
Fair
relate
enough.
a little bit better. But you're covering campus issues.
Mm-hmm.
You're still covering that beat. I'm told by the left, Rob, but the left tells me night and day that 99% of people 25 and younger are vehemently anti-gun, vehemently anti-Second Amendment. They want us to hand all of our guns away, throw them in a furnace, melt them down, and burn them. Tell me why they're wrong.
I think the most persuasive factor when looking at gun control is seeing just how violence has been perpetrated in the past, like before we had all of these very lethal weapons, and how it is nowadays when people they have access to guns, but they choose to use other weapons a lot of the time.
Sure.
They choose to use things like trucks, which are perhaps even more deadly than guns in certain situations. And so I think whenever gun control is discussed, something that I often see missing from the conversation is the fact that there are other things that can very easily be weaponized. If someone has the motive, they're going to do something.
You know, you raise a really interesting point. It's actually a great point, because in his speech here today at CPAC, President Trump addressed exactly that. He talked about the terrorist attack in Lower Manhattan, in which a terrorist in a vehicle decided to gun the engine and plow into people on a running path, killing 8 and seriously wounding 12 to 14. And you're 100% right. No gun was involved there, but it was a terror attack as much as any other. And the president also spoke about common sense positions. And I think what you're promoting is a common sense position. I did a segment on my show last week. The FBI does the UCR, the Uniform Crime Reporting, every year. The most recent is 2016. We know that in 2016, rifles and long guns, like the one used in Parkland, accounted for about 500 of the weapons used in homicides in the United States. But hands, fists, feet, strangling people, no weapon, accounted for nearly 650 homicides, about 100 more than long guns. So you make a very interesting point. But do you think, because you're a journalist, because you cover these issues, that you're an exception to the rule, or do you think more millennials are becoming more aware of these numbers?
You know, what I've heard in terms of the generations is that Generation Z is actually probably the most woke. And there you do have a swing towards the conservative and libertarian values. I hate to, bash my generation, but I think millennials are somewhat hopeless when it comes to things such as the First Amendment, which I cover a lot, almost exclusively, but then also Second Amendment values. I think the universities are partially to blame for that, in which you have a culture that's just so one-sided. And you look at the professor ratio, you have like 12 to 1 liberal to conservative professors. And I think really what needs to happen is an institutional change. We need to start motivating conservatives, libertarians, people who are sane somewhat, to enter these institutions and really make a difference.
Now, I've got a really important question for you, and no matter how you answer, you will not hurt my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Am I based in woke?
Yes, I think so, yes.
I hope I am, Rob.
Very red-pilled.
Your opinion means a lot. I'm red-pilled.
Yes, conservative is red, Republican.
I can leave CPAC. A happy guy, Rob Shimshock, told me I'm based woke and red-pilled. Rob, is always my friend, a pleasure. You got to come back on my show soon.
Thank you very much, John. Yes, I'm
You got to find me a story as interesting as the racist sexual predator pelicans.
That's going to be a hard one to match, but I'm up to the challenge.
Thanks, man. Always great to see you.
Thanks so much.